So here's what happened, okay? We're having a discussion about Caitlin Clark. And believe it or not, like this is, I kind of think we've talked about a topic that everybody's talking about. I hate when we force things. And you get this time of year where you're like, this is a real topic. I think most people are full of crap. Like, oh, I like watching women's basketball way more than the NBA. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. There's things that may turn you off about the NBA, and there's things about but you haven't watched the WNBA game, so you have no idea what it looks like. And when you do, you'll be like, well, that was something. Now, the other part to it, and this is a real thing, is we do not always watch the better sport. What I mean is, like, G League basketball is better than college basketball in terms of the overall talent on the floor. And sometimes the competitiveness is better, but we watch college basketball more. Why? Because of all the feels we get from the front of the jersey and from the coach and the crowd. So the idea that we won't watch the WNBA because it's not the NBA doesn't stand up, because we do watch for human interest as much as actual sport. The problem is, like, we're being told, and I don't love the idea of everyone, well, this sport is just growing and they need to, like, hold on. Is the sport growing? Yeah. Is it growing at the rate of popularity of Caitlin Clark? No. No, it's not. And you just have to be careful. We've done this bit in the show a bunch of times in how many times companies and sports overexpand. And you're better off with a product that more people want, even on a smaller scale, than overdoing it. And I fear that the WNBA is going to overdo it. But we got into this discussion about efficiency and whether or not she's going to be Tim Tebow, right? And that's what Iowa Sam said. Well, she's more efficient than Jimmer Fredette. Then I produced the statistics for Jimmer Fredette, and he would not say the two words he needs to say here. Is that about right,
I think there's a bigger picture, because Jason also mentioned Jimmer Fredette's name in the same breath as Tim Tebow. And I agree with Sam that I don't think that Caitlin Clark is like either. What I thought was great about it was Iowa Sam then completely sideswiped Jimmer Fredette to the extent that you felt the need to defend Jimmer Fredette, and then supported his case of having equivalent numbers to Caitlin Clark, which then Sam would refuse to apologize for trying to sideswipe Jimmer Fredette.
And just to correct the record even further, as it plays out, I said I just think it'll be a Tim Tebow thing where we just were
you didn't say Jimmer
interested
Fredette?
in the college career, and then we lost interest once we figured out he was like an average to below average football player. And then Doug says, and Jimmer Fredette.
Okay, Doug said.
And that's what raised Sam's ire.
Well, my issue with Sam was that all he had to say was, you know what, I was wrong, and he refused to say I was wrong.
I think I said it through some iteration at some point.
No, it's not. You don't need an iteration. You just need the two words. Hey, man, I was wrong about the efficiency thing.
By like a percentage.
No.
And it doesn't.
No.
But you're splitting hairs, Doug.
No.
Yeah, you are. You're splitting hairs.
I'm not actually splitting hairs.
Look at their career.
I'm
look
not
at their careers. Look at what they've done.
I'm not splitting hairs. I'm not discussing whether or not she had a better career. You said he was.
I undermined his stats.
You said
I was wrong there. I was wrong.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah,
you were wrong. That's it.
Is that what you want to squeeze out of me? As if I admission that I was wrong? I was wrong. Yeah. If you were listening, you could tell I was wrong.
Everybody could tell you're wrong. It was just your inability to say.
But also, it's by
wrong.
A percentage point.
No, you're okay.
I understand what you're saying. I said that he was more inefficient than her.
Listen, let me help you.
And I was wrong.
Let me help you. As a guy who had struggled at times in my life to admit that I'm wrong. Okay, you weren't wrong by a percentage point. You were wrong you were completely off. And here's why. And just so you know, when you originally said it, I actually agreed with you, because my perception of it was that he didn't shoot a good percentage. Okay. He didn't have to be more efficient than her for your statement to be wrong. He just had to be in the ballpark. He wasn't in the ballpark. His numbers were actually better. So
Sure.
we were 100% wrong about his efficiency.
Yeah,
That's
I was.
it.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
Yeah.
Now, next part about it is, how long are we going to care? How long are we going to care? And my point about this thing is, what's different is there's been a buildup of 2 years. She was wildly popular last year at Iowa and then doubled on the popularity this year, and it became like Elvis. Okay? It became a thing. It became a thing. And that is Tebow-like. That's where, and now here's where I would disagree with Jason. We did care about Tebow when he's in the pros because he had that run where we called it Tebow time. Was that 2011, I think it was? I want to say it was the fall of 2011. And we all, and most of our companies lost their minds. I was working at ESPN at the time, and they were like, you can't talk enough about Tim Tebow. Like, really? And so my thing was more, I was just like with everything else, I was down the middle. Yes, they have won games, but yes, I thought Tebow got credit for putting out fires that he started. Man, look at how great he was in the fourth quarter. Like, yeah, that's because they were down 3 touchdowns heading into the fourth quarter, and they played bad teams on this. But it was undeniable that they kept winning games, and it was crazy. So I think she has a greater chance of having success in the WNBA that is consistent success and being an NBA All-Star than Tebow did, than Jimmer did. Because I don't think that she's as much of a creation of the college landscape as some would think. Do I think that she'll be the greatest player of all time? I don't. I think those are really, really hard to come by. And I think that group is most of the UConn players, right? Taurasi and Breanna Stewart, like those are the two that everybody point to. And I don't know if she has that. But again, I'm willing to be wrong there. And I don't actually know because I don't evaluate women's players. I can't go back and say, oh, I remember when Breanna Stewart was coming. Like I wouldn't be that arrogant to say that I can evaluate because I don't know how it translates because I don't watch the WNBA. And the only thing that'll change is now I have a little bit of a vested interest in. I want to see how she plays every once in a while when I'm sitting at home on a Sunday and it's on and I got nothing else to do, I'll flip it on. If the NBA is on, I'm not watching. If most any other sport is on, I'm probably not watching. But in the summer, on a Saturday or Sunday and she's on ABC and there's nothing on and I like watching basketball, I'll absolutely flip it on. But it's like we're doing this thing where we're not recognizing whatever you want to say about the NBA's numbers. Victor Wembanyama was can't miss TV, right? Had to watch it. How long did that last? Do you still watch? If Victor Wembanyama was on TV tonight, would you absolutely watch? And he is without any question going to be a star for the future.
Yeah.
So, and it's obviously different. She's American. She's apple pie. She's been properly packaged. She lives up to the hype in the biggest events. Like I got nothing negative to say about her. I'm just talking we have been down this road in different times. Wayne Gretzky in LA, he had been unbelievable in one. Did they win 5 straight Stanley Cups or 4 straight with the Edmonton Oilers?
I don't know if it was consecutive because I thought there was a Calgary one in there, but I think
and there was also
5.
and then the Islanders were good back then too.
Yeah, the early 80s,
right?
Yeah.
But the fact is that Wayne Gretzky was great, but he'd get to LA and we're like, everybody paid attention to hockey. Then they lost in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then like the next year, we're like, And then we kind of moved on with our lives. And we remembered it's hockey. We don't understand hockey. It's on during other stuff. I do wonder if at some point we go like, yeah, it's women's basketball. I just can't watch it. And the other part to it is like women's basketball won't accept this to be true. Some of us, we just don't like watching it. Some people do. A great percentage of people don't. It's okay. There are people you are never going to win over. And people are like, hey, give it a chance. Watch it. And those people, I wonder if they'll come back and watch another game that she's not participating in. By your viewing habits, have you ever sat down and watched a WNBA game in the past?
No, I have not.
Will you now?
I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing, but I will watch. When especially the first game, I'll try to make time for.
Sure. That's one of the things with LeBron, by the way, is LeBron, I think he had 30 his first game. Is LeBron was like all this hype, and then every time we saw him, it lived up to the hype. Plus, he was so jaw-dropping in spectacular fashion athletically that we were like, and we had kind of been waiting for somebody post-Jordan. Jay Stu, what do you think? What do you think? Like, will you watch?
Yes, I'm going to watch. I'll probably
A
watch
Dodger
the first
game is on at the same time. Do you watch?
No, I mean we're having a conversation from the 90s here because there's a DVR now. Mm-hmm. I could watch that later. One of those.
You're
things.
not going back to watch a WNBA game on DVR.
No, you gave me two choices. I'd watch whatever the other choice was. Probably I'd watch the sporting event live because I like to see things live and then go on Twitter and see how people are making fun of it. So that's kind of my thing. I'm a live sports guy. And I will tune into the first game or two, I think. And then after the NBA is over, before the football starts, I'll tune in again and see how she's doing.
Go ahead.
I do want to say, though, when Tebow was coming from Florida to the NFL, we were shocked that he was a first-round pick.
Correct.
We did not expect that. Then when he ends up playing, he was awful for 58 minutes. But all of a sudden, somehow in the final 2 minutes.
It's crazy.
Yes. And so when we're talking about Caitlin Clark and Tim Tebow, completely different scenarios. On, like, I feel like Caitlin Clark will adjust to the NBA. I don't know if she'll be a superstar right away. I feel she'll fare very well. And I also will give her the benefit of the doubt that she'll be able to improve her game to even fit the WNBA game as her career goes on. But the Tebow mania was something that I don't think that we can ever really fully grasp, especially with what he was as a player. And to then his point of him bouncing around to different spots, it was always a story. If Caitlin Clark isn't good anymore, or if her pro career doesn't turn out, we will lose interest. And that is different from the Tebow thing, which was such a out of this world experience because you couldn't explain what was going on.
That also serves into just how much we follow the NFL. I mean, we like, if Mitch Trubisky signs with the team, we're like, oh, that can be talked about for a segment. Tebow as a backup, with the Jets, that was a story, sure. And he was a Heisman Trophy winner, did a ton of winning in college. But yeah, the comps for the next level were not there.
I don't think it's fair for Caitlin Clark to be compared to Tebow.
No, I would agree with you. I think her skills do translate. Here's a couple things that we don't like. People don't realize how good Kelsey Plum was, right? Like, she scored over 3,000 points as well. And I think she's doing well in the WNBA, but no one's paying attention. And the point is that her and Sabrina Ionescu were at the same time and the same part of the country, kind of co-superstars, and no one cared.
So I think you take the super off that, right? They were stars like within this little niche.
Right. Yeah. Oh, can you be a superstar within that niche, or you have to be a star because you don't translate out of that niche?
Superstar to me has to be transcendent.
That's fine. Right? That's fine. I'm okay. I actually agree with that, and I'll take that. So they were stars, and I think they're both really good WNBA players. I don't know. Here's a question: is she on the Olympic team? Is Caitlin Clark on the Olympic team? Do we know?
Is she going to be?
Yes.
I don't think we officially know, but
she will be, correct?
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, like, how does that all work? I'm going to say something that everyone is going to know to be true, and when we clip it up and we put it on social media, people will freak out. I do think the dynamic that she's a woman makes it really, really interesting, because here's my experience. Guys can get jealous. Guys, especially the younger generation, somebody else is getting, fame or clout or whatever. Like, guys can get jealous. But it's not necessarily how all guys are wired. And some of it we call jealousy competitiveness, and really it could be deemed as jealousy. Women, and not all women, but professional type A ladies can still be very catty. Very catty. I've said this often. Like, I feel it's got to be a tough being a woman in our industry, right? Because you're judged unfairly so, like your sports knowledge may not be the level of a guy when you may be a far more accomplished athlete, have far greater depth of resources and knowledge, whatever. Like you walk into a conversation and people instinctively think that guys know more about sports than girls do. They just do. And I'm admitting that's completely unfair. So it's a really hard one. But the toughest room in broadcasting is the makeup room when there's multiple ladies in there, because as much as they compete against the guys and they're treated unfairly by perceptions, like women are awful to other women. They don't unite. They don't lock arm in arm and champion others. They may on camera, behind the scenes, they kill each other. And listen, the Olympics they're a platform for these athletes. Women and men, basketball players use it as a platform. Like LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, they're not going out of the goodness of their hearts. They're not going necessarily to win. They're going because their brands are like, dude, you got to go. It's the world's biggest sporting event. You be there, you promote, we sell a bunch of shoes, everybody's happy. Right? It's a gigantic platform. And when everybody's fighting for the attention, and here's a woman who has not, or she will have played half of one season when the Olympics start, I'm interested to see how the other ladies treat her and if they're as catty as I think they'll be.
Well, they're definitely going to be catty. And even at the WNBA draft, you could see there were some glances over the shoulder with a little bit of a stink eye involved. I think that there's, they're competing for a WNBA draft. They're competing for the exposure. And that exposure's never been there before, so it's like there's only so much sum of the pie,
Yeah. When the truth is a rising tide should lift all ships, but I don't know if that's how it's viewed. Yes.
Just two quick things. Number one, it's not a given that she's on the Olympic team. We may think that it'll be a given because of viewership, but even comments from USA Basketball within the last 48 hours have said, not a given. They'll have their final rosters in early July. This is a little bit reminds me of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods and pros, when he came on, he can't do this, he can't do that. Then he proved them all wrong, and then purses doubled and tripled after that, and then everybody was happy that Tiger Woods came along.
No doubt.
So we'll see if that has the same effect here.